What's up, family? I'm live. I don't know how many people I'm gonna get in here, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of time to see how many people I get in, here, right off the bat. But I'm here for my normal Saturday tap in. Can't let the family down. I gotta come through and tap in with the family on my Saturdays. You know how I do. Um, yeah, family. But yeah, we ain't gonna waste too much time. I hope everyone is having a good weekend, staying safe out there. And down where I'm at in PA, they supposed to get some snow tomorrow. I think like 6 inches or something like that. So we'll see. But it's extremely warm out here, and that lets me know it's probably gonna snow or something like that. But thanks to everyone for tapping in with me. Enjoy your weekend, and yeah, we gonna get right into it, family. I don't know if y'all heard, but our brother Mike Epps, he created a boxing gym in his hometown, for the youth, city youth. And I believe that's a good thing because it'll, prevent you from getting involved in, gangs, selling drugs, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? And it'll give them a positive, outlet, things to do with themselves, uh, to release some of that, pent up energy. Because a lot of times, when you ain't exercising and staying fit, and being active, you get a lot of energy built up in you, and you got to burn that negative energy off, somehow. So yeah, salute to our brother Mike Epps. I've always rock with Mike Epps. He ain't never done no selloutness, as far as I know. He always stood on business. So yeah, salute to him on making this boxing gym. I feel it'll be a good thing, and we gonna get right into it. Fair use.
A new community boxing gym is hoping to make a difference in the lives of young men. The gym is the brainchild of Indiana's own Mike Epps.
Great idea. It looks like the actor and comedian wanting to open a place that would lead kids toward personal victories over violence. And Rafael Sanchez got an exclusive first look inside.
Inside the ring.
And sometimes young folks don't even want to get involved in, street activity, but there's just nothing in the urban communities. And that's done by design. They take all the resources out of the urban communities and put them in the white ones. You know what I mean? So, without no resources and aid and things in urban communities, what you expect to happen, people gravitate to, what they predominantly around. If ain't no opportunities there, yeah, of course, young folks is going to get involved in the street life, this, that, and the other. But, salute to our brother Mike Epps for, putting this boxing gym because young folks will be able to utilize that, and do something productive with their time.
A new world is opening up for young people, seeking better in what they do and how they dream.
Not even just about boxing, it's championship mindset. That sets you up for life, for anything that you want to do. If it's in the ring, outside the ring.
I want to do something new in my life.
I rock with what that young brother said right there because, boxing and getting involved in sports, that takes a certain amount of discipline to wake up, eat right and exercise. And that thing will transition, into a lot of different parts of your life. You know what I mean? Showing up for yourself.
I'm going to build a way up.
1, 2, 3, stronger, stronger.
This is the Right Jab Boxing Gym near the Indiana State Fairgrounds. The founder,
Okay, this boxing gym is in Indiana. I guess that's Mike Epps' hometown. I forgot the place where this boxing gym was, so it's in Indiana, family.
Indy's own Mike Epps, a boxing fan who envisioned using the sport, its footwork, its fierceness, in a fight to open new paths to the possible.
I see young men learning how to redirect their energy, redirect their thoughts, get exercise. I see a future in it. I see it changing people's lives.
Like I said, a lot of times when there ain't nothing in the community and you ain't got nothing to do, with your time, of course, you're going to gravitate to getting in trouble, this, that, and the other. And a lot of times it be, energy that you need to burn off. So yeah, this is going to keep these young, folks active, give them something to do with their time. You know what I mean? And I think it'll be a good thing for the community.
Epps partnered with a fellow Hoosier, former world heavyweight champion, Layman Brewster. Brewster coaches, sets the pace, and pulls no punches as to why he's ringside.
Because the whole objective is to get you to think as a champion so you won't think about picking up a gun. Champions don't need guns. This is your lethal weapon. So I'm teaching them to use their mind.
Around the gym, there are portraits and images of the world's top boxers, all to serve as inspirations.
You know, these kind of places save people.
You see our FBA brother Muhammad Ali on the picture, yeah. But yeah, this will be a good thing, you know. And salute to Mike Epps for doing it, you know. And this will, you know, bring you know, young brothers, you know, and bring them and teach them discipline and things like that, things that go along with boxing, because the discipline aspect that goes along with boxing, you can, you know, use that throughout your life. You know, that just don't end, you know, in the boxing ring. You could take those principles and apply them to life.
Get to find people, get to find their careers, their journeys, their life. This is more than boxing.
I never knew that I could be here. And without him, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here.
Outside, the message on the wall is for all. It reads, "Don't stop and look. Come get this right hook." A challenge to knock out the past for a chance to make it to the next round with pride and purpose.
And a lot of times, like some young folks and, you know, people in general, they hold on to the past. You know, they judge themselves on their past mistakes. So I like that saying there, you know, letting you know to, you know, look to the future. Don't look to the past, because the past will keep you stuck in the past. But you can always constantly reinvent yourself, you know. Never give up, family. That's the messaging in that, you know. So I just wanted, you know, to shout out and salute to our brother Mike Epps, you know, for putting this boxing gym, which I feel will benefit, you know, the youth in this community, you know. So yeah, moving right along. I seen something, family, that I came across on social media, where as though the Mardi Gras celebration was going on down there in New Orleans. You know what I mean? But they had a racist, stereotypical float down there, you know, with the white supremacists, you know, the false narrative of, you know, all black folks, you know, smoking crack. I think the name of the float was something called the crack pipe. You know what I mean? And they had a black little doll on this particular float. They was you know, throwing things off the float, and this black doll had a chain around its neck, you know. So that's a whole bunch of, you know, racial stereotypes right there, you know, black folks being lynched. And, you know, not to mention the float's name was crack pipe, you know. So that's a racist, false narrative of a stereotype that, you know, white supremacists like to put on black folks, that all black folks are just, you know, sitting around smoking crack, this, that, and the other, which couldn't be further from the truth. And when they threw off this particular little doll that had the chain around its neck, the black doll, one of our young FBA sisters caught the doll, you know, and that's a bunch of nonsense. And her mom had to do some explaining, you know, that this is racist, this, that, and the other. Now they caught the individual that done this, but of course, you know, them folks is white supremacists with the complexion for the protection, so they ain't try him up and charge him. Only thing they said was they can't come back, you know, with a float and things like that and participate in any more Mardi Gras, you know what I mean? And it showed you how the system of racism, white supremacy, you know, looks out for, coddles, and pampers their own. So I got the audio and the video of this nonsense, to where though one of our young sisters, you know, caught this doll with a noose hanging around his neck, you know what I mean? And the white supremacists done this, you know, intentionally, if you ask me, and they should be sitting behind bars, you know, tried up with something. And this is also why we need that black hate crimes bill, family. We can't keep our eyes off of that aspect. But let me pull the video, family. Fair use.
Doll with a string
Fair use.
of beads around its neck. A mother says her young daughter caught a black doll with a string of beads around its neck at the Crew of Tucks parade yesterday. Now, she and city leaders are calling for consequences for the rider. Here's Sananda McCall.
We were at the parade.
And the only thing they did to the people with that racial stereotype of a float that said crack pipe on it, you know, with the black doll hanging from a noose being lynched, the only thing they did to these white supremacist degenerates was told them they can't come back and participate in the Mardi Gras celebrations no more. They should be, you know, tried and sitting behind bars ASAP.
Tucks parade. We went downtown. You know, the floats were coming. We had just kind of caught it.
It was this, a black doll hung with a string of beads around its neck, received by Lee's daughter Saturday.
I was like...
And that probably traumatized our young sister, you know, seeing a black doll with a noose hanging around his neck. Then the mom had to explain to the daughter, you know, that this is racist and what it meant, so that's a bunch of nonsense.
There is no way, like, out of all things that somebody could have thrown off of a float.
The shock and condemning was shared by city officials such as Mayor Helena Moreno, who also took to her Instagram page saying, quote, "Let me be clear. The display is deeply offensive, unacceptable, and has no place in our city. New Orleans is built on respect, diversity, and inclusion." City Council leader J.P. Morrell also called it a, quote, "disturbing effigy meant to harm and intimidate families and children."
It was her innocence that was taken away because I had to expose her to, a darker side of racism and tell her why
She probably was traumatized from that whole ordeal. You know what I mean?
she couldn't, why she wasn't allowed to play with it.
Groups like the New Orleans Police and Justice Foundation shared a statement also saying there's a clear line between satire and inappropriate signaling, and many are calling for accountability. The crew of Tux said they wish the incident had been reported sooner so they could have addressed it immediately, adding that the behavior is unacceptable and contrary to their values. Tux said, quote, "We intend to fully investigate this incident, and the responsible riders will no longer be permitted to have any association with the parade."
And that's the only thing they did to these white supremacist damn degenerates was, no longer, let them be involved with the parade. They should be sitting behind bars and in the jail cell. You know what I mean? Because they practicing anti-black racism, white supremacy, and that goes to, back to why we need that black hate crimes bill to protect and insulate our people. You know what I mean? You only see these damn, white supremacists, trying to put out, anti-black, propaganda, and target and, unjustly, black folks. They don't do this with any other race. This is why the system of racism, white supremacy, is rooted on anti-black racism. Sometimes you see these things, in the media to where though they try to, say, well, the white supremacists were, being some kind of way to rainbow gang folks, this, that, and the other, people from this community, that community. White supremacy, is rooted in and based off of anti-black racism. They try to get you to take your eyes off of that aspect, but we can't do it. We need that black hate crimes bill.
Definitely needs to get held accountable for this.
Sonata McCall, WWL, Louisiana.
And today, the mayor and city council invited that family to Gallier Hall. Take a look at these photos from the city's Instagram page of Shayna and her family. She texted me this afternoon saying that
they got a beautiful family, and that, that poor young sister, had to receive that racist propaganda in the form of that black doll with the, the noose around his neck. You know what I mean? So that probably traumatized our young sister.
She did get a call from Mayor Moreno personally letting her know that what she experienced during the Crew of Tux parade is not what the city of New Orleans is all about. They wanted to right that wrong and give her family a better carnival experience this afternoon.
Bunch of nonsense, damn white supremacist degenerates, and they didn't need to be sitting behind bars, if you ask me, But of course, they're going to look out for them because they got the complexion for the protection. We're moving right along. See what else I want to touch on, family, just a second. Yeah, family, something I wanted to touch on, a narrative that I see, going around here and there on social media, from some people of the lineage, but a bunch of ops is that, half FBAs, aren't FBAs. And to me, it's all one FBA. Either you're born of the lineage or you're not, half FBAs are, still FBAs. It all goes to the mindset. See, I judge people based off the mindset because you can have full FBAs that sellouts like Jesse Lee Peterson, coons like Jesse Lee Peterson. And you can have, half FBAs that sellouts like Shakur Stevenson, who's sitting up there, was raised by an FBA mom, but got a Puerto Rican dad who was never in his life, then wants to sit up there, and big up some, false narrative of, Puerto Ricans helping him when it was FBA culture and society that raised him, birthed him and, nurtured his talents. So it all goes off the mindset to me, and whether a person, is half FBA or, full FBA, if they're sellouts and coons, it still don't change their lineage because you got half FBAs that sellouts and coons just as well as you got full FBAs that sellouts and coons. And like I always say on my channel, my black game, standing on black business first and foremost, that came from my mom. And my mom was, is half white and, half FBA, but my mom always, represented, FBA to the fullest and put that in me. And my dad is full FBA, but my black game came off my mom's side. You know what I mean? It depends on, the mindset of somebody, you know what I mean? Because there's full FBAs and half FBAs that I don't even rock with because they, pure sellouts. I see them all the time. You know what I mean? But as far as me, I'll be damned if somebody tell me, I can't speak and advocate, on lineage business because yeah, I might got, a little bit of, white in me off my mom's side, but that's minute, that don't even matter to me because with me, I was born FBA, raised FBA, and when I die, I'm a die FBA. So I stand on lineage business first and foremost. I ain't doing nothing to, denigrate the lineage. If anything, I always big up my lineage, you know what I mean? But I just see that false narrative being put out there, that half FBA somehow, ain't FBA, you know what I mean? And that couldn't be further from the truth. And when it comes to getting our reparations and, getting all of these damn tethers out of the pain, it's going to take all of us FBAs collectively, to come on code and get together, and do what we got to do for the lineage, to get our justice claim in the form of cash reparations and get all these damn tethers out the pain, so we got to, remain sure we make sure that we remain on code, especially in the house, you know what I mean? Because we got so much damn outside opposition, seeking to, infiltrate us and, knock us off our square and pivot, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you could have a coon that's full FBA. You could have a coon that's half FBA, vice versa. You know what I mean? But it still don't change that person's lineage, but with me, I ain't rocking with no coon, whether they FBA or not, you know what I mean? Because, yeah, we got to, major things to accomplish and get done, and I ain't got time for coons, you know what I mean? And people that's working against FBA society, even if they are the lineage or not. Shout out to the family, red state, blue state. Yeah, but I just wanted to bring that to the family's attention, you know what I mean? Because it's a false narrative being put out there, and I really don't like that, that just because somebody is half FBA, that they not FBA, you know what I mean? As long as they standing on lineage business, but even if they ain't standing on lineage business, full or half FBA, they don't change their lineage. Either you born FBA or you not, you know what I mean? But yeah, and it's going to take all of us to come together and do what we got to do, represent our lineage and, get all of these tethers out of the paint so we can get our lineage-based justice in the form of cash reparations. But moving right along. Let me see what else I wanted to touch on. Yeah, let me pull it up. I want to pull up our FBA sister Brooke standing on a bunch of business, and she did a beautiful job articulating herself. So it ain't really no need for me to, even add no commentary to it. But she was, I like the video so much that, I got to put some commentary on it, But she did a beautiful job articulating and standing on business. I don't even.
My name is Brooke.
Put no commentary to it. So yeah, we're gonna get into it, family. This is our FBA sister Brooke, speaking a bunch of truth to power, like she does at these reparations meetings, and we're gonna walk through and talk about it how we normally do, family. Fair use.
And I just want to remind everybody that reparations is back payment for services rendered. If you weren't here and you did not render any services during slavery, you do not qualify for reparations.
Beautifully said how that sister said it. If you ain't got no lineage to the foundation of this country, you a non-factor. You shouldn't even be involved in reparations, hearings, discussions, or anything revolving around the lineage because you ain't got no ties to the foundation of this country. You know what I mean? You fled here. You know what I mean? Our people are owed a direct debt from the U.S. government, and we gonna get it. We ain't letting our foot up off the gas pedal in terms of, speaking up for and advocating for lineage-based reparations.
Nationality and citizenship are loud conversations today. While people are flying, boating, walking, riding into this country in the pursuit of U.S. citizenship, none of these groups share the centuries-long history we have on this land. None of them fought this government and won.
These people ain't got no ties to America. They fleeing up over here, getting all the resources and aid thanks to the Democrats. This is why I'm so, glad that they getting them up out of here now, ASAP, you know what I mean? Because these people come over here and get a leg up over foundational Black Americans, and we rooted here. Our ancestors, died, bled, shed blood, sweat, and tears on this soil, so we could have a better life, you know what I mean? They paved the way for us, and I'm forever thankful for them. That's why I never stop standing on lineage business. I don't give a damn who likes it, who gets mad, disgruntled. It is what it is with me,
None of them are owed a red cent by this nation, but the freedmen are. Freedmen, that's the title this government gave us. Foundational Black American, that's the name we chose for ourselves. We are Americans. How dare you fight for others to be called American, yet refuse to acknowledge who we are and call us by our name? We are foundational Black Americans.
And family, the Democrats will do that all day. You know, they fight for all these damn immigrant rights. But when the last time you seen a Democrat out here, you know, advocating and, you know, to the point of, you know, being locked up and throwing themselves on in the flames, you know, like they do for these foreign fleeing tethers for foundational Black Americans. They never done it. You know what I mean? In fact, you know, the Democrats, you know, don't even want us, you know, acknowledging our foundational Black American lineage. You know what I mean? The Republicans, on the other hand, they're more willing to, you know, at least identify, you know, our foundational Black American lineage before the Republicans, you know, and I ain't for neither party, don't get it misconstrued, you know, but I see, you know, more so the Republicans acknowledging our foundational Black American lineage than the Democrats, because the Democrats, you know, we got to ask ourselves, why is that? Because the Democrats, you know, benefit and profit off of us, you know, staying undefined, generic African Americans, to where as though, you know, when we do something fly, our history could be, you know, chalked up to, you know, trying to make us equivalent to immigrants, this, that, and the other. And damn that. We must represent our lineage, you know, and do it by any and all means necessary, and not let these damn, you know, Democrats, you know, play this game of erasure with us, you know. And that's why they pulled that ABC News segment on the FBA inventors, you know, because it went against the narrative that the Democrats like to push, you know, where it's just, you know, all one big melting pot. The immigrants built America, and that's the kind of climate that made Shabuzi, you know, feel comfortable enough to get up there, you know, in front of everybody and say that some damn immigrants, you know, made America, which the hell they didn't. You know, it was us foundational Black Americans that built America, you know. And the Democrats, you know, try to, you know, everything they can, fight tooth and nails not to acknowledge that, because in them acknowledging that, you know, it goes against, you know, this Black and brown, you know, minority coalitions they want us to have with everybody, to where though, you know, we advocating for everybody, you know, absorbing all the abuse, you know, and they benefit, you know, while we get the potato chip crumbs that fall out of the bag. Damn that. You know what I mean? We must represent our lineage and, you know, not let these people play this game of erasure like they want to do on us, family. But let's continue.
We were here before the U.S. was formed, before this was even a
shout out to my brother Breeze.
Destination for immigration. We built this nation. This country wasn't a place that people longed to come to, not at first. Even Europeans didn't want to immigrate here willingly. Many were sent by force, prison, or exile. That was the bargain. They were sent here because this land was not desirable, not until we turned it into something that now the world.
And white supremacists tried to build America. They failed, you know, they failed horribly too. You know, they got that slave labor off of our FBA ancestors. You know, we built America. You know, they couldn't do it, the white supremacists, on their own. You know, and they know this in all actuality. You know,
fights to enter. Call us by our name. We are the freedmen. We are the foundational Black Americans. No disrespect from.
And all of these other damn groups that come to America, they not rooted here. Most of they, you know, countries of origin, you know, at one point in time were, you know, against, you know, the United States. We're the only people that the United States is our homeland. You know, we're rooted here, you know, we're indigenous to America, you know, and this is why, you know, we as FBAs, you know, are the only ones that, you know, represent America, you know, what the things America is really supposed to be about. You know, these damn, you know, foreign fleeing tethers give a damn about America. Even the white supremacists, you know, they'll denounce America at the drop of a dime. It's only us foundational Black Americans that, you know, really represent the things that America is supposed to uphold. You know what I mean?
No disrespect to continental Africa or Africans, but how many of them are dying to come to America and become what we already are? Aren't thousands, no, millions of them fighting for American citizenship right now? So again, call us by our name. The refusal to recognize us by the name we chose is giving.
Democrats refuse to recognize us. The Republicans will, but I ain't for neither party. I'm for tangibles, and I'm nonpartisan, meaning whoever is providing something exclusively lineage based for foundational Black Americans, I get out there and vote for them tomorrow if need be at the drop of a dime. I ain't loyal to anything, but our lineage getting its justice claim. But yeah, this is why the Democrats, refuse to acknowledge our lineage, because they benefit off of keeping us undefined, some generic Africans, to where though they can get us, to push other people's needs before our own, sign up for some, Black and brown unity minority coalitions. Damn that never served us. We did all the fighting and got the short end of the stick while other people's came up, off of our hard work and, being out there on the front lines absorbing abuse. Damn that.
White racist Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali energy from skinfolk who clearly aren't kinfolk. In today's climate.
Thank you, Brooke. We appreciate you. Marjorie has.
Sister Brooke was spitting truth to power, you know what I mean? She was going in and she did a beautiful job of articulating herself. So, big shout out, salute to our sister Brooke for standing on FBA lineage business, constantly, because I never see a video on which she ain't standing on, FBA lineage business, but moving right along. Let me find the next story I want to talk about, family. I wrote them down, so yeah, I can try to move along here. All right, got it, family. Let me pull it up. Family, they got a mayor out there in California named Wang in one of them cities. I think she's Chinese, and she was in a relationship with somebody that was a Chinese spy over here in America. This is why we gotta, do away with all of this damn mass immigration to the U.S. If they're gonna do immigration to the U.S., it gotta be, tightly, under supervision, under a microscope. Then, they gotta do it in such small numbers if they want to do it, not the way to where though the Democrats were doing it, flooding the zone with all of these damn, illegal undocumented immigrants to try to undermine our reparations as foundational Black Americans. They did that to try to undermine our lineage-based justice claim, But yeah, they getting them up out of here now, so that's a beautiful thing. But this damn Mayor Wang, who was a Chinese woman, was laying with, some dude who was a Chinese spy. And you could bet your last damn dollar that she known about it, because you take on the mindset of the person that you land with most of the time, and y'all gonna be pillow talking, because we know that, that's something about being in a relationship. People pillow talk with one another, this, that, and the other. And, they got to monitor this thing, as far as immigration goes. That's why I'm happy that they getting them up out of the paint, because the way the Democrats was doing it, just flooding the zone with all of this damn, immigration to America, we don't know who the hell we getting. These people weren't upstanding citizens in their homeland. So yeah, let me put the audio and the video of this Mayor Wang out there in California. She's was laying with and engaged to a Chinese spy, family. And she ain't got no comment now when the news asked her about it. Of course, she don't got no comment, because she most likely, knows something about this, because you take on the mindset of the person that you land with. You turn this down.
Search behavior continues.
Fair use.
Gabriel Valley tonight. We're heading to the San Gabriel Valley tonight, where a local mayor and an international spy operation happening.
The mayor of Arcadia refusing to speak with us about her former fiance, who was just sentenced to prison for being a Chinese spy.
CBS LA political reporter.
Former fiance, yeah, she knows something about it. She was laying with this man, and you take on the mindset of the person you laying with. This is why we got to do away with all of this mass immigration. You know what I mean? Because flooding the zone, you don't know who the hell you getting over here. You ain't getting the most upstanding citizens. You know what I mean? These people weren't worth a damn in their homeland, and they come over here with that same, mindset of scamming, finessing, and doing misdeeds over here in America. So damn that.
Reporter Tom Waite live in Arcadia for us, where the city council held a meeting for the first time since the sentencing. Tom?
And good evening to you, Juan and Rutabaga. This is such a strange and intriguing story.
And this is another example of why foundational Black Americans, should, shouldn't be, advocating for no damn immigration to America. You know what I mean? Because they come over here, doing a bunch of nonsense, scamming, doing misdeeds, and not to mention, freeing up, and getting some of these illegals up out of the country, up out of the paint. That clears the way for us FBAs to get our justice claim in the form of cash reparations.
As you said, the mayor of Arcadia linked to now a convicted Chinese spy. We tried to ask her some questions about the sentence, but she refused to answer. Arcadia Mayor Eileen Wang not taking.
Sure, she refused to answer because she knows something and she don't want to, speak, out of turn and possibly give herself up to where though, she's being held behind bars and, gets hit with a crime or something of that nature.
Questions about the sentencing of a convicted Chinese spy who she once referred to as her boyfriend and fiancé and who worked on her campaign. Can you just give us your reaction to this?
Damn, he was involved in her campaign as well. Yeah, she knew something. I ain't buying that she didn't know nothing, and the reason that she ain't talking is she don't want to put her foot in her mouth and say a little bit too much to where though, they charge her up with a crime.
Mayor Wang has not been accused of any wrongdoing in connection with this case involving the Chinese spy that began to unfold several years ago. Tuesday's council meeting was the first since the now convicted spy, Yao Ying's son, who also went by Mike's son, was sentenced.
And family, just another aspect of this I thought about. Like I said, I ain't for the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm for tangibles, whoever's, offering up tangibles, that's who I vote for. But for FBA specifically. But yeah, another aspect of this, I thought about is, this stuff was going on under the Democrats, all of this scams and finesses and, these damn tethers coming over here, doing a bunch of nonsense and misdeeds. But why is it only coming out under, President Trump and the Republican Party? They bringing it to the light, you know what I mean? And the Democrats, it was going on under them. But what it was the Democrats, they turned a blind eye to this because they benefit off of illegal immigration, all of these damn foreign fleeing tethers coming over here to America so they can, have a voting base, and deny us foundational Black Americans our justice claim in the form of cash reparations. I'm just bringing that to the light. I thought about that. I was like, damn, that may, this was going on under the Democrats, so they had to know about it, but like I said, I ain't for either party, but you see a lot of these misdeeds among these damn tether classes of people coming out under the Republican Party.
To 4 years in prison for his covert actions on behalf of the Chinese government. The feds say starting in 2020, Sun operated a pro-Chinese Communist Party news website for the Chinese American community. Sun was also directed by Chinese officials to boost the campaign of an unidentified Southern California politician. This is Wang talking about her relationship with Sun at a council meeting from.
Listen to this, family. She says in one news segment that she knew him, and in the other news segment, I believe she puts her foot in her mouth. So this woman knows more than she letting out there.
December of 2022.
To my fiancé, Director Mike's son, who walked.
See, she said to her fiance, and then later on in the video, once he gets charged up, and gets found out to be a Chinese spy, she tries to say she don't know him. This woman knows more than she letting off. Don't be fooled by this.
Streets with me every single day. Who is a real leader of me?
After Sun was charged, Wang tried to distance herself from Sun.
Number one, he's not my fiancé.
And she just said he was her fiancé. She stuck her foot in her mouth. A video and photos never lie.
Whoever want to see he's my fiancé or former fiancé, please prove it.
The U.S. Attorney's Office would not confirm or deny whether they are investigating Wang, which is their standard rule. The LA Times has reported that she is not under investigation. Still, she would not answer any of our questions. I just think it's important for people to understand just your reaction to this sentence.
I don't have the comments right now.
Okay.
Thank you. It's outrageous.
Sure, you don't got no comments because you're complicit in this whole thing as well.
It's outrageous. I mean, her fiancé helped her with the campaign, got her elected, and he's.
Yeah, it's background music playing, family, so I don't want to get copyrighted. I just wanted y'all to get the gist of that, but she's complicit in it as well. She done stuck her foot in her mouth on one broadcast, and then on the other one, she said she don't know him. But in the other one, it was her fiance. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that, this damn immigration, you know, how they was doing with flooding the zone. That don't work over here. You don't know who the hell you getting, because most of these people weren't upstanding citizens in their homeland, family. But moving right along. Yeah, family. I don't know if y'all seen that Haitian tether lady, you know, who was on a podcast who sat up and said, you know, foundational Black Americans were dirty, dirty Black Americans, this, that, and the other, which is a bunch of nonsense, you know. And this woman got some damn nerve, you know, to be calling Black Americans dirty, you know. She comes from Haiti, you know what I mean? And then, you know, that Haitian woman, just a little bit ago on social media, she got her damn, you know, kids taken away from her for living in filth and squalor. You know what I mean? So these people got a lot of nerve, and she's a perfect point on why we delineate. You know what I mean? Calling Black Americans dirty, this, that, and the other. But let's get into it, family. Fair use.
Who? You. That's why I'm Haitian. Why? Where you from? What's your background? You American? Dirty Black American?
Wait, what? Dirty Black American, you know, ain't nobody living in, you know, filth and squalor, you know, not to be disparaging, but, you know, all the filth and squalor that's going on over there in Haiti, and you want to sit up and call foundational Black Americans dirty? Damn that, you know. And she's over here, you know, off of, you know, the hard work and, you know, resistance of our FBA ancestors putting in all that work, and she got some nerve to be sitting over here in America calling foundational Black Americans dirty. Damn this lady, you know what I mean?
Huh? Huh? What?
Wait, what'd you
American?
say?
Black American? What?
No. Hold on. You said dirty Black American.
You heard that? You just asked me what I said. I did.
Why you say that?
Because that's what y'all are. Dirty Black American.
And this is the mindset of the majority of these damn tethers. You know, this is why we delineate, you know what I mean? Because these people don't rock with our people, you know. And then, you know, you got the damn, you know, tether class and the scam African class that want to say, you know, FBA is divisive, this, that, and the other. FBAs are, you know, just checking people, you know, after years of unchecked, you know, disrespect. You know what I mean? We just, you know, getting some straightening done with the tether class, you know, because for a long while they was coming up over here, you know, saying these types of things, and we was giving them a pass based off of, you know, them having melanin in their skin, and damn that, you know what I mean? Delineation reveals all, you know, and it's a protected barrier, you know, that protects us, you know, from the degeneracy in their culture, you know. And these people don't rock with our people like that. These people, you know, for the most part, don't respect our people. They come over here, look down upon our people, stick to their own little groups and enclave. They don't so much as even look at a foundational Black American, you know. So we ain't being divisive, you know, by calling this out. You know what I mean? We doing what we supposed to do. You ain't supposed to sit up and let nobody denigrate your history, lineage, people, or culture, you know? Damn that.
She just said that? I did. A dirty Black American. I sure did. Because that's what y'all are.
Just chill out on that dirty Black American comment. That's all.
I'm sorry. You really took a...
And that Haitian woman just a few months ago was living in filth and squalor, you know, like the show Hoarders had, you know, stuff piled up to the ceiling, you know, and had little kids in there, you know, and the CPS came and got her kids. I don't know if any of the family remembers that, but foundational Black Americans, you know, we the most cleanest people, you know, on the planet, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Foundational Black Americans are always, especially the sisters, tightening up their house, you know, every day, you know, and going the whole way in on Sundays and on the weekend. You know, they got their music up blasting, you know, cleaning the house from top to bottom for hours. You know what I mean? But let's continue.
Offense to that. I apologize.
Anybody would take offense to that.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't.
Why you said that though? I'm saying, why would you even fix your lips and say that though? I'm confused.
Because that's just my experience. Like, bruh. It's my experience. So I'm going to speak on it.
Perfect example of why we delineate, you know, because they come over here, you know, with white supremacist views and standpoints to, you know, our foundational Black American lineage, you know, and we can't have that. These people will jeopardize any positive strides we trying to bring into FBA society.
But I apologize.
Is your experience?
Yeah, so I apologize.
What experience you had?
If I offended you.
You accept the apology?
No.
Yeah, like that's super disrespectful. Like, yeah.
I'm with the brother right there. Damn, an apology. You know, you said what you meant, and yeah, you stood on it. You didn't, you know, you doubled down on it. In fact, you know what I mean. You ain't even say, I'm sorry, this, that, and the third. You ain't even attempt to say, sorry and apologize. If anything, you double down on it, the anti-FBA disrespect. So damn an apology, we gonna hold you accountable and make you stand on every last word you said. You know what I mean? She's a damn perfect example of why we delineate. These damn foreign fleeing tethers ain't got nothing, popping in their homeland, and then they come over here and want to project, a scamming, failure of a mindset onto us foundational Black Americans. Damn that.
She did say it's dirty Black Haitians too, though. Nah, I would never fix my lips to say, and I know some dirty Black Haitians. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would never fix my lips to say dirty Black. I wouldn't generalize, like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, nah, it is, bro. That's that Caribbean.
It's not.
And this is why we be having the diaspora wars, because the dumb shit words. Remember that other Haitian?
And I don't even consider them diaspora wars. I said this before. It's just us foundational Black Americans getting some straightening done with the tether class after years of unchecked disrespect. We let these people get a pass just because for years that they had some melanin in their skin. And we looked out for these people and protected them. You know what I mean, from the white supremacists. We used to get out there, for every melanated person, years ago, till we woke up and got off that kick, because we seen that these people wouldn't do the same for us. We stick our necks on the line for them, and then they come over here with a bunch of white supremacist talking points, getting in political office and things of that nature, trying to undermine our people.
Bro, remember the other Haitian shit?
Care about nationalities. It's all about the personality to me.
Shout out to my sister, Tawanda.
You just said
No. I'm sorry. I can't do Americans. I need somebody with culture. I'm sorry.
Black.
And she want to talk about she can't do Black Americans. She needs somebody with culture. These damn tethers ain't got no culture. What the tethers got is, little customs and traditions that they pull out every once in a while. We FBAs are the ones with the most, culture. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to Black. We're the face of Blackness. We popularized it and made it cool to be Black. These damn foreign fleeing tethers wasn't standing on no business. If anything, they was always going around saying that they wasn't Black. They only want to be Black when they can get some perceived benefits. You know what I mean? And like I said, we are the global culture as foundational Black Americans, because your culture, constantly changes, and that's something you do every day. What they got is customs and traditions, these damn foreign fleeing tethers. They ain't got no culture.
Americans got culture. Americans got culture. It must be a Haitian thing for sure. Like, y'all, I don't know what the issue is.
Haitian thing, and I won't say that y'all don't have culture. Like, y'all have the things that y'all do.
We got the culture.
We are the culture. Like.
Okay. Y'all have the things that y'all do.
Haitians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Africans, whatever the hell you want to name it, even YT people, get they swagger and they, try to gravitate to everything that we do as foundational Black Americans. We bring something out, dances and, fashion, and then, other people try to leech and gravitate onto that, try to copycat us.
I do.
We are the culture. That's
just
it.
like, okay, so then Caribbeans are culture too.
No, y'all have a culture. We are the culture. That's two different things.
They got customs and traditions, things that they pull out once in a blue moon. Your culture is something you do every day and constantly grows and changes.
It's not.
Yeah, but family, I just wanted to bring that to the attention of, the family of this, Haitian tether, trying to denigrate us foundational Black Americans and say that, we dirty, this, that, and the other, and damn that, that's her people, truth be told. But moving right along. Find the next story I wanted to touch on, family. Bear with me. If you're new to the channel, family, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I'm always standing on lineage business and dropping new videos daily.
The reason.
And family, here we go. We got a tether op, that's trying to frame our FBA lineage as a group and say that we begging for reparations. Now, this guy is a Hebrew Israelite, on the same kind of time that Captain Tazariot cat is on, to where though, they see it as being 12 tribes and try to, keep people's lineages vague, to not get us to identify with our foundational Black American lineage, this, that, and the other. Damn that, you know what I mean? Because, I don't rock with anything that, tries to, keep your lineage undefined, and he tried to say that we was begging for reparations. No, the hell we ain't begging. You know, we got the talks of reparations in the mainstream public lexicon as foundational Black Americans, and we ain't begging. You know, we demanding it. It's a dead old, and we gonna have it. You know what I mean? But this dude is just a tether. You know, on that Hebrew Israelite nonsense to where though they see people from Africa, red Native Americans, you know, and Latino people, you know, Puerto Ricans, all as the same people. And I don't rock with that. It's the same thing, you know, but dressed up a little bit differently, you know, as Pan-Africanism. But I do know we got some brothers and sisters that it's something kind of like that. You know, I don't want to mispronounce the word. I don't know what it's called off of hand, but it's something like that, kind of like that. But they rock with lineage, and you know, they represent their foundational Black American lineage as well, and they believe that you know FBAs are the chosen people. You know, so this ain't you know no disrespect to them. This is just to the ones like that Captain Tazariak and this clown Tether right here who wants to try to you know frame our lineage as a group and say that we begging for reparations. Damn that, you know what I mean? Yeah, let's get into it, family. Fair use.
People hate the quote-unquote Hebrew Israelites is because we have enough faith to actually follow the Bible and do what it actually says. People come into my comments.
And no disrespect, family, but with that Bible and the Quran, I'm just keeping it real from my standpoint. I don't rock with either one of them because the Bible was used to keep our foundational Black American ancestors into submission on that plantation. And, you know, the Arabs were some of the first people on that Muslim side of things, were some of the first people, you know, in the slave trade, you know. So, yeah, I don't rock with either of them. I'm more of a spiritual person. But if you choose to, you know, rock with the Bible or the Quran, you know, that's on you. Just make sure that your God looks like you know what I mean? Because and that it gives you power because you ain't gonna pull no power from something if your God don't look like you. But I don't like to, you know, totally knock the Bible or the Quran because I've seen it do good things and clean people up off of drugs, this, that, and the other. But I just, you know, ain't into that. You know, I'm into, you know, spirituality and, you know, truth be told, I see myself as a God, you know, not the ultimate God, but I got the power and the ability to affect change in my real world. You know, I got the power and the ability to affect my current state of condition, you know. But let's continue, family.
Say, what y'all doing for the community? You ain't been paying attention. We're not just marching. If you actually look and paid attention and cared about.
And every time, no disrespect, but I see these folks, they marching and they want to try to speak down upon our foundational Black American, you know, lineage, talking about, you know, we only on the internet and, you know, we begging for reparations, this, that, and the other. We FBAs got to talk about, you know, reparations in the mainstream public lexicon. And we ain't only on the internet. You know, you got millions of foundational Black Americans waking up and representing their lineage, you know, that was forged over here on American soil. So damn what this dude is talking about. He a tether that, you know, wants to keep us undefined. He might as well just say he wants us to be undefined to where, though, you know, we can fall into some vague genericness, you know, and see ourselves all the same as Africans, Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, this, that, and the other. Damn that. I don't rock with nothing that seeks to erase specific lineages.
About what we're actually doing and did some research, you will know that we impact the community because we're there every single day. The same people that be in my comments talking about foundational Black Americans and the Nation of Islam and Christianity and Egyptology and blah, blah, blah.
And he's trying to frame FBAs as a group and things like that. You know what I mean? Foundational Black Americans are a lineage. You know, you could be any ideology, subscribe to any religion you want to be in a foundational Black American, because we 43 million plus, you know, individuals, you know, and every individual inside of a lineage is going to have their own mindset, their own thoughts, the way they view things. You might have Democrats or Republicans. It still don't change a person's lineage.
Blah, ain't doing nothing for the community. You never see them but on social media.
You see, he's trying to frame foundational Black Americans as a group. You never see them but on social media. Foundational Black American brothers and sisters is handling their candle, getting up, going to work, you know, doing what they got to do. You know what I mean? Just because you a tether, you know, that's why you're trying to frame things in such a way that you are.
I'm going to tell you this. A lot of you hate God and you hate the word of God. So when we show you the word of God,
and he ain't in no moral standing to say anyone hates God, this, that, and the other. This is a damn foreign fleeing tether who ain't got no legitimacy or credibility himself.
Many of you are not patient. Many of you don't believe. Many of you have no faith. Many of you are not really willing to change. You won't change, but you won't change. That's why you're begging for reparations.
And that begging for reparations part, that was a direct shot to our foundational Black American lineage. Damn you, Tether. We FBAs are really getting things shaken, changing the paradigm. We got to talk about reparations in the mainstream public lexicon. All you sitting on doing is sitting on the internet, babbling. You ain't building up your homeland, the place you fled from. You sitting up over here, in America, off of everything that our FBA ancestors did, so you owe a debt of gratitude to FBAs, truth be told, but what you trying to do is what you really want to say is you just want us to stop identifying our lineage and, be an undefined group, and damn that, so moving right along. I got some more from this foreign fleeing Tether. I know he a Tether, but he keeps speaking we like he French, you know what I mean? Like we, you know what I mean? Trying to just do a bunch of, Tether babbling. He makes no sense, really, in all actuality. Let me pull it up, family. Just a second. Okay, I know where it is. This is another video from this foreign fleeing Tether. Give me a second, family. And this is the one where he went, full anti-FBA and, tried to discredit our lineage, frame us as a group, this, that, and the other, which is a bunch of nonsense. And, at this point in time, everybody knows what our FBA lineage is. This guy is paid opposition. Somebody got him out here on the tape. He worked for one of these intelligence agencies, if you ask me. People at this point in the game, they being paid. All of the, hate and vitriol coming towards our FBA lineage, then removing the ABC thing on FBA inventors. All of this ain't coincidence. You know what I mean? These people are paid, to do this. They put out here, by one of these intelligence agencies.
FBA are foundational Black Americans, and in 1526 is the year
It won't pause. Just a second. My computer was glitching. Yeah, this guy is a paid informant, and then the Tether at that, he's trying to, some of the words he was using, like we, this, that, and the other, like he's a part of the lineage. He for sure as hell ain't no a part of our lineage. But yeah, let's get into it, family. Fair use.
So there's a new movement out there called FBA, or Foundational Black Americans, and in 1526 is the year I think that they're claiming that African Americans or Foundational Black Americans came to.
It ain't no movement. You came in, with bad intentions, bad faith, and ill will, trying to frame us as a group. FBA is a lineage. Either you born that or you not. And FBA is 43 million plus, foundational Black American brothers and sisters whose lineage, goes back to the foundation of this country. We rooted here. We ain't equivalent to no damn foreign fleeing Tethers. What this guy wants us to do is, denounce our FBA lineage to where though, we fall under this this 12 tribes thing that he's pushing to have our lineage equivalent with a damn Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Mexican, Indian, this, that, and the other. We're foundational Black Americans, we ain't dropping our lineage. And, these folks better get the hint. I keep telling them move because it's FBA train coming through. And if they don't move, they're going to get ran over, moved, and pushed to the side.
To America. But what you're going to learn about this movement is just another ploy of our enemies to cause division amongst us.
He said it's a ploy of the enemies to cause division amongst us. And Brother Tariq Nasheed was in his comments too, trying to tell him what FBA meant, that it's just a lineage. And several FBA brothers and sisters was down there, getting on his bumper, truth be told. You know what I mean? Because this guy just coming in, bad faith and ill will, trying to, get us to drop our FBA lineage. And it ain't going to happen for anyone or anybody.
Actually, America's named after this man named Amerigo Vespucci, which was an Italian navigator that created maps for most.
And it don't matter who America was named after. It still don't change our foundational Black American lineage. Your lineage is set in stone. Your lineage don't change. Either you born it or you ain't.
Also, the early conquistadors and people like Christopher Columbus. As you can see, he was born in 1454. He died in 1512. But in 1526 was what you saw in the image, that year about foundational Black Americans. But
this is Tether Babble at his finest, family. Him just sitting up there throwing anything to the wall to see what it sticks, and people could try all of they will, with all of they will, they might, everything they got in them. We see tethers crashing out on the internet, crying, complaining left and right. It still don't change our foundational Black American lineage. And what this dude is pushing, he got that same Captain Tazariak mindset to where though, he wants us to be down with some 12 tribes and see ourselves the same as Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, this, that, and the other. And damn that, it keeps our lineage, vague and generic. We're a special, exceptional people, and we ain't equivalent to no damn Puerto Ricans or no Jamaicans. You know what I mean? Our lineage speaks for itself. We're an extraordinary people, and we ain't going to have our lineage, minimized by anybody. I don't give a damn who they are.
We can see America's named after him. So first and foremost, it wasn't called America originally. We have to keep that in mind.
Don't matter what it was called, it still don't change our lineage.
Now I'm gonna show you inside this book called Native Americans, the language of race and the evolution
Plebiscite Bible 101
of red Black peoples. Let's go inside. Now inside the book, you see where it says here, this change may not have affected dark people of solely African and American descent, especially if the African ancestry predominated, since many but not all Native Americans were brown or dark colored.
Dude, the babbling, we don't give a damn what you talking. It's going through one ear and right out the other. We're foundational Black Americans, and folks can keep on trying, crying, complaining, whining, whatever they want to do. It's not going to change our lineage. It's not going to get us to, drop our lineage to be undefined to where though people could come in and exploit us. That's what tethers want, us to be, open and undefined so people could come in and exploit us. And we got to absorb, the negative, stuff that their society commits. And we got to absorb it, under some generic Blackness or, being a part of some, 12 tribes. Damn that. We're foundational Black Americans with an exceptional lineage, bar none. And, our lineage speaks for itself.
Without African ancestry, meaning they didn't come from the west coast of Africa, many of their descendants, when mixed only with African blood, would very likely be seen as Negroes by most Europeans, especially in North America. Now, the reason I'm showing you that is because most people that call themselves African American today, many of their ancestors were already here, but they would be called.
But there is one group that's sort of like this family, but they believe FBAs is the chosen people, so this ain't, no disrespect and knock to them, but this dude is a damn tether who wants to, make us equal to some damn, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, all under some damn 12 tribes. Damn that. I don't rock with anything that dilutes specific lineage. You know what I mean?
In the future, Native American, not knowing that they descend from so-called Native American Indians. This is why the foundational Black American movement is not.
Notice the words. He keeps trying to frame it as a movement. It's not a movement. And brothers and sisters, even Tariq Nasheed himself was in the comment section letting this, damn, idiot of a tether know that, what FBA is. And he knows what FBA is, but he's deliberately doing this to try to frame us as a group, to delegitimize our lineage. And it ain't going to happen. Our lineage is edged in stone, And, ABC even acknowledged our lineage, even though they try to, take it back, but they can't retract that. It was already let out the bottle. Our lineage, is a standalone. We ain't going to be diluted and, be undefined to where though people could come in and exploit us.
Ideal, and it causes division because a lot of the people that you're calling.
And they keep on saying that FBAs cause division. And we can't be divided from something that we was never a part of. It was always division. You know what I mean? FBAs ain't causing no division. If anything, foundational Black Americans for the longest time, we tried to advocate for everybody with some melanin in them. We were, getting out here on the front lines, advocating for their needs and interests. And these people will come over here, denigrate our history, culture, legacy, say that we don't need no reparations, get on reparations panels and work to undermine us. And them damn days is over. You know what I mean? So you can't be divisive or divided from something that you were never a part of. Unfortunately, there was never, no big, all melanated people coming together in solidarity and unity. That's in a perfect world. These people give a damn about FBA society. They look out for their people first and foremost. They set up businesses and institutions with their own people, look out for their people first. They don't give a damn about FBAs. So we just reciprocating that energy now, standing on lineage business. You know what I mean? And regardless of what you pumping out and pushing out, it still don't change our lineage.
Calling Native American are actually Negroes, and a lot of the people that you're calling Negroes are actually Native American because we mixed amongst each other and we've always looked the same. The image that they gave you of Native Americans is not the actual imagery of those people, how they originally looked.
And FBAs are the black people that were already here, before Christopher Columbus. There was black aboriginals on this land, and there was, Africans, taken from the continent of Africa and brought over here, but none of that matters, because we became a new ethnic group forged over here on American soil. We had an ethnogenesis and became foundational black Americans.
That's why Hosea talks about Ephraim being a cake not turned. So you got images like this, and you say, okay, well, that over there to the right, that looks like a native.
Plebiscite babbling at its finest. It's killing me even listening to this dude, because this dude is a tether, who wants us to drop representing our lineage and, say that we are part of the 12 tribes to be equivalent to some Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, this, that, and the other, Africans, and damn that. We got a unique and special lineage that was forged over here on American soil. And then people not like us, they come from a lineage of fleers, not riders. We the rider class, so that damn plebiscite babble you spewing, it's going in one ear and right out the other, because you a damn tether, trying to pump out, Pan-Africanism, basically, just dressed up a little bit differently.
Like that looks like a native. But then when you look at this image right here, you say, I'm not sure. That could be a little black girl. It's because they're the same. We are the same. They're causing confusion with these different movements. Look at the 12 tribes chart of Israel.
He said all that to say this, family, that he wants us to drop our lineage and become a part of one of these 12 tribes. Damn that, it wants to, what he's pushing seeks to keep us undefined, some, vague, generic, to where though we could be equal to, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Africans, Cubans. Damn that, they're not like foundational black Americans. No disrespect. They got their own, history, culture, and things like that, but ain't nobody, in my book and opinion, got a greater, legacy of resistance and standing on business than foundational black Americans. Everybody else, for the most part, fled their homeland of origin. We the only ones that never fled. Our ancestors' blood is in the soil. We built this joint from the ground up, and we ain't going to drop, representing our lineage for anyone or anybody.
It's been identified that the so-called African Americans are from the tribe of Judah, but then you have the so-called American Indians, natives, and the so-called...
He said all that to say that he wants us to become a part of one of these generic 12 tribes, to where as though, we drop representing our FBA lineage. Damn that. He pumping out the same thing that damn, goofball Captain Tazariak is.
Seminole Indians, which come from Gad and Reuben. But notice we're all sons of a man named Israel. When you read the
FBA is a standalone lineage, you know what I mean? FBA ain't equal to anybody, because nobody done what we done, went through what we went through, in my book and opinion, and still, came out, with their chest out and their head up high, you know what I mean? Folks ain't got that, so I ain't, chalking my lineage up to where as though it's being, thrown in the mixing pot with everybody else.
The book of Zechariah chapter 11 verse 14 says, then I cut asunder mine other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Judah being the southern kingdom, known as African Americans today, Haitians, West.
And don't be fooled by this guy. This guy is a tether, you know what I mean? And that's the part that, people in the comment section were asking him, where your family from? Where your family from? And he ain't never want to give that up, because he knows he's a foreign fleeing tether, who's trying to discredit our lineage and try to frame it as a group, thinking that that's somehow in his mind going to make us drop our lineage. Our lineage, we ain't going to stop representing it, dude. You a tether and you better move, because this FBA freight train coming through. If you don't move, you're going to get ran over.
Indians, and then Israel being all of what as the Latin tribes and even the native tribes, the native to this land. So our people are the 12 tribes.
Yeah, that plebiscite Bible was, just hard to listen, to, because I know this guy is a tether, that comes from a non-FBA lineage, who's trying to, keep us undefined, to where though we can easily be exploited. And damn, that dude is a tether, and we calling him out, family. Yeah, but I just wanted to call out that foreign fleeing tether, who's trying to make us equivalent to Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, this, that, and the other, which is a bunch of nonsense. And yeah, I'm getting ready to get off of here, family. I just had to come through and do my normal Saturday tap in with the family. Peace to my sister Tawanda. red state, blue state, still tripping, and all of the rest of the family that tapped in and rocked out with me for the little bit of time I was on here. You know, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe, because I'm always standing on that real FBA business, speaking truth to power. And I want to tell y'all, family, have a good weekend, and stay safe if you're on the East Coast, because the snow is supposed to come through tomorrow. It's supposed to be like somewhat of 6 inches, I'm hearing. You know, so I'm gonna get out and try to do my shopping before all of this happens, because it's so nice out there now to where though I can see it probably is going to snow, because the sun is shining. It's damn near 50 degrees. Yeah, but yeah, stay safe, family, and take care and be mindful and remember to be aware, because to be aware is to be alive. Stay safe, family. Take care of yourself. Peace.